Is the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller worth $200 in 2025? Let's find out. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the pros, the cons, the whatevers, the who's it for, whatever, you know, just a general view of the controller and if it even has a place in 2025 and whether or not you should even buy it. I originally made a review of this controller back in 2019, and I actually thought the original was slightly better because you were able to remove the batteries and replace them, but now I have completely different opinions of this controller, and I still think the original is better, and it probably will surprise you. When you first get this controller out of the box, you'll notice that the plastics are very smooth feeling, very soft, grips are grippy and firm. You know, it's perfect the way they made it feel. When you flick around the thumbsticks, you feel how solid it is, and it just generally feels like it's worth its price. But that's until you've owned it for 6 months and noticed it's completely falling apart. Yes, this controller has had widespread reliability issues, mostly at the beginning, but still there's some serious issues I still see today in these controllers. At the very beginning, people were having allergic reactions to the grips. I've not really heard much after that. Either they changed the way they made the grips or people just stopped using them that had allergies. I don't hear about it anymore, so I'm just going to assume that's a fixed issue. Another issue that plagued it at the very beginning, and still I hear today, is that the grips would literally fall off. Whatever adhesive they used would get kind of gummy and break down over time, and then eventually the grips would come off the controller. This is kind of happening on my DSLR camera. I've never personally had it happen to one of my controllers, but this is a known issue with the controller. These people might have very sweaty hands or something, I'm not sure, but you know, it's still unacceptable because this doesn't happen to any other controllers. People also have issues with the thumbsticks, literally the rubbers falling off, which is not that big of an issue because you can buy a set on Amazon for like maybe 25 bucks. But where it's really a problem is that they didn't put in Hall effect sensors for some unknown reason, and you still have stick drift inside of what is a $200 controller. This is not like the Nintendo Switch where you can take off the Joy-Cons and put on some new ones. This is a controller that's $200. It basically goes up in smoke the second you have any joystick drift. I've personally had this problem happen 3 times. Luckily, 2 of those were under warranty, but the third one I had to buy a new controller, and that's why I have the core controller now. I really don't know why they didn't bother putting Hall effect sensors in. I remember when this controller originally came out and was planned to come out, I heard rumors they were going to put Hall effect sensors inside this controller, but I guess not. They just couldn't afford it, apparently. I don't know. It's $200. I can't even imagine this controller cost them maybe 50 bucks to make. I don't know. Why can't you be bothered to put in some Hall effect sensors? Like, how much do those cost? Like $3? Like, come on, you have a budget of $200 and you're not spending any of it. Greedy Microsoft. The warranty with this controller is pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure most Microsoft products come with this type of warranty where it's like a 1-year warranty. They pay for shipping all the way back. They fix it. They basically just send a brand new controller. In most cases, I've never gotten like what remotely looks the same as my old controller, unless they're like gods or geniuses at fixing things. I don't think they actually fix your controllers. They just replace them with another one and then use an engraver to engrave your serial number back on that controller. That's my guess of how it works. But the warranty process is very easy, and I'm pretty sure you can extend it if you want to, but I don't know. Usually extended warranties are a scam. But if you really wanted to, you can. Depends how much you use it, and you really should use the warranty wisely, because you don't want to be buying a warranty and you rarely ever use the controller and it never breaks, and you spent a lot of money for an extended warranty, and yeah, just stay away from the warranty unless you know what you're doing. Alright, so now another issue. This is an issue that is definitely still on the controller, because on my core controller, I have this issue. The ABXY buttons literally don't work when you press them sometimes. It is when you press them kind of softly, but like how you would on a normal controller, at least how I would normally press them. They don't go off. And this is a huge problem because you're not always going to be binding the ABXY buttons on those paddles. And, you know, it's kind of nice being able to press the button when you're in a stressful situation, you're in a gunfight, you know, you're doing something, right? You're doing something when you press a button and it doesn't work and you die because of it. It's very frustrating. And sometimes I have resorted to just using a normal controller because of how frustrating it is. When I'm playing casually, I sometimes just use a normal controller because I do not want to be dealing with the frustration of a button just not going off and being pissed off. I have no clue what they did because in the normal Xbox controller and the Xbox Series Elite whatever original controller had perfectly working buttons. This one doesn't. I have no clue why. Don't know what the difference is. I have opened up one of these one time a really long time ago. I'm not going to open mine because I don't want to break it. and I opened it up the last time because I just wanted to see what it looked like inside because it was already broken. I was going to send it in for warranty, but the membrane did look different. It's kind of like a black membrane. I'm pretty sure they use gray membranes. I don't know. It was back in the Xbox One days. It was a different looking membrane, and it had like a different kind of feel to it. It was a lot softer. So that's my guess of what the problem is. I don't know why they didn't just use a normal membrane, because I don't know who just like goes, is that how you press them? I don't know. Like, sounds like a good way to ruin your thumbs. I don't know. Maybe rip off your thumbnail or something. I don't know. Destroy your hands in the process of pressing the ABXY buttons. Alright, so let's move back on to some things I actually really do like about the controller. Something I've noticed is that the Bluetooth connectivity on this controller is a lot better. It's not like super better, but like back when I used to have a wired headset, I'd be able to plug it into my controller, go upstairs, grab some snack or something, come back down, and guess what? I'm still connected. You know, that's the thing. It has a much better Bluetooth connection. I don't know, in my case at school, I used to have my controller underneath the desk so no one would see, and I have my laptop, I have my dongle plugged in, and I would, with the normal Xbox controller, sometimes have issues with connectivity because they use metal underneath the desks. You have like a place to put your binder, and that's made out of metal. But with the Xbox Series 2 Elite controller, I was able to have it underneath the desk and have no problems whatsoever. So that's a case where I've noticed a big improvement. And yeah, I can go upstairs, I can do whatever I want with it. It's not going to disconnect compared to the normal controllers. Another thing I like is the haptic motors on it. I don't know what they've done. I think they use like a slightly different foam that surrounds the motors themselves. The motors themselves and the hands feel more supple and controlled and precise. It feels like an actual like haptic feedback motor on your phone. It's perfect. They did a very nice job there. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know what they were trying to do, but it feels different than normal Xbox controller. It might also be because they build the controller to be a lot more solid and feel more robust, and you know, it probably makes less noise. Another way you feel like it's more premium. I don't know. It just feels a lot better. That's something I really do like about the controller. To be honest, this is the biggest selling point of the controller is battery life. This controller's battery literally lasts for months. Like, I one time just took kind of like a big hiatus from gaming, and probably like 3 or 4 months of just not doing anything. It was not charged, it was on my desk, and it was like halfway uncharged. Like, that's how good the battery is in this controller. It is remarkably good. So any issues you think you're gonna have with the battery, you're not. It's amazing what they were able to do. They probably put like such a big battery in there, what it actually needs. And I think lithium-ion batteries are a lot better at holding energy than normal alkaline batteries. Just energy density, I mean. So definitely they're just using the same space they would normally, because they probably originally were going to put alkaline batteries in there and allow people to put lithium-ion batteries if they wanted to. But what they put in there is solid and really works well. And you really never, as long as you're putting it on the charger every single night, or even weekly, you'll never have issues with battery life. I actually, in my original review, was kind of upset that they used a lithium-ion battery, but again, of how long these controllers last, like really can't get that much life out of these controllers. The controller dies well before the battery is an issue. Another thing that was honestly perfect on the original controller and still is kind of the same on this controller is the case. They did add the ability to charge the controller inside the case, but really, it's just the case itself. It probably will outlive you. I used it every single day for school, going back and forth from home, using it constantly throughout the day, and like, it looks brand new. Like literally, there's not even a scratch on it. It's amazing what they're able to do with it. I used to put my controller and dongle in there, throw it in my bag, and I'd be happy for the rest of the day, knowing that that controller is not going to even get a single scratch on it. Alright, back onto things I don't like about the controller. First thing is hairline triggers. I really don't know what they're for. They're kind of stupid, and they're really gimmicky. Personally, I would like if they worked the other way around. If you slide the switch all the way, you get the least amount of modularity in the triggers. I personally wish that was the other way around. I wish there was a way to lock the triggers all the way in, and then have just enough room to press it in, and it would basically work like a mouse. Or maybe just add in some mouse switches and have the ability to lock it all the way in and make it feel just like a mouse. They could have also done that. Now, I don't know if they had this idea or maybe they were planning on it, and to be honest, it probably is pretty stupid because I don't know if it would be able to last very long like that, but it would be an interesting idea, and that's personally how I would do it, because then your fingers aren't just like hanging out and being weird. I honestly don't like that. I like just pressing the trigger all the way in, and I can never get my head around the idea of these. Alright, so something I do like about this controller, it's a mixed review, so I'm going to go back and forth, is thumbstick resistance. I think it's a great idea. because I can switch between low resistance and high resistance. I use the low resistance when I'm trying to practice, you know, because it allows your finger kind of has to like resist the low resistance, and you kind of get better at using your thumbs and your coordination gets better. And then when you want to be precise, you can switch it on the high resistance, and your thumb is not fighting with your head or whatever, or fighting with the lack of resistance. My aim is automatically better. I don't know. I get literally 10% gains from this. I don't know what it is, but that's what happens. Another thing I do like about this is literally the fact that they made the thumbsticks on the high side literally the same as the Xbox 360 controller. I think this is such a good throwback, you know, because during this time they were going on about backwards compatibility, and, you know, it kind of showed that they cared that some people would buy this controller and maybe want to feel the Xbox 360 controller again. It comes with that Xbox 360 looking thumbstick, so they really were thinking about people like that. But before I move on, I must mention that the resistance goes down over time. When you buy another controller and you compare it to the old one, you'll notice that the resistance in the thumbstick is different. I don't know why. I'm guessing they use something that wears down inside, some kind of like clutch or something. You know, that's what you're screwing down when you activate this feature. So I'm guessing that wears down and breaks down and slowly becomes a problem over time and slowly loses its effectiveness. But whatever, it's still a nice idea, and maybe the next controller will be better. This is the first time they ever did this, so you do have to give them some credit, and I'm sure most people don't use this. It is a nice feature, and it's a nice thought from them. Another thing I like about this controller is the back paddles. They're an improvement from the last ones, which are kind of big, and the smaller paddles are positioned in a better spot, in my opinion. I feel like I'm just on top of them at all times, instead of the old one where it was like, where am I? You know what I'm saying? It's a better feel. So whatever they did, I'm guessing they moved some things around and they made them smaller, really did improve it. And plus, on top of that, you can actually put the old paddles on the new controller, which is fantastic. I love the idea of backwards compatibility and them thinking about people who, for whatever reason, like the older ones better. I personally like the new ones, but you do you. And you have that option. It's perfect. I love that thought. And now to go back onto something I absolutely hate about this controller, the D-pad. I don't know what they were thinking when they did this. Well, I don't know what drugs they were taking. Why? Like, who needs an interchangeable D-pad? Like, is this really something people are asking for? Like, who uses the circular D-pad? I don't know, just stick with one. What do you need it for? Whenever I'm trying to type on the Xbox, I'm constantly like, what the fuck were they thinking of this D-pad? It's like sliding around, it doesn't feel premium, it feels stupid. I don't know, it was like really half-assed the first time they did it, and then they did it a second time. The second time they did it, it did feel a bit better, and they also made it a lot easier for people who take the D-pad off and just use the thing underneath, which is nice, but I still don't like it. I personally do take off the D-pad and just use the thing underneath. I find it to be much more accurate, and I want to be accurate with the D-pad because I'm navigating something and I'm trying to get to the game and I'm probably in a mood and I don't really want to be dealing with shit. You know, that's how it works, so that's what I use my D-pad for. I just want my D-pad to be reliable and get me straight to the action. Alright, back onto something I really do like about this controller. You can customize literally anything on this controller. Everything and everything. Obviously everything's interswappable, but you can remap any button you want to anywhere. Literally, you can have the A button be the left trigger. I don't care, whatever. And plus, on top of that, you can have function keys on the Xbox controller. You can have one of the back paddles as a function key, and the second you hit that function key, the buttons do something completely different. So literally, you have endless possibilities. And if you want to keep presets, you literally have 3 on the controller, and you can have up to 250 within the Xbox Accessories app, which is amazing. I don't know who's going to use 250. I don't know who can even conceivably do that. But if you ever needed to, yeah, you can do it. On top of that, you can adjust your sensitivity settings and dead zones. You can also turn off the vibration. Not that you would ever want to do that, but if you ever did and you're into competitive play, you can do that. And on top of that, you can literally change the color of the Xbox button. I don't know why you would ever do that. I personally do it. I'm insane. I use it just literally just to tell what preset I'm in, even though there's another light that tells me what preset I'm in, but I don't know. I just thought it looked cool. I don't know why you'd ever do it. There's no real practical reason to do it, other than it looks cool. Alright, so this is my main grievance with this controller, and for some reason I feel like this wasn't as big of an issue, or I just didn't notice it, and I honestly didn't really play competitive games back then, but on this controller especially I was. The thumbsticks have a lot of flick back. When you move the thumbstick all the way to, let's say, to the right and let go of it abruptly, it will flick back and go slightly to the left. So that's an issue when you're trying to aim at someone and jump or press the Y button or something. Getting your thumb off of the right thumbstick, that's an issue, and it really is annoying. I would literally use the normal Xbox controller and get higher accuracy than the Xbox Elite controller. This was mainly in Halo 5 because I was playing that at the time and I almost went pro, kind of. I played with a lot of professional players at the time and they were all liking me on and I was friends with them and, you know, things might have happened. I don't really know. It was during COVID, so everything got screwed up after that. And then Halo Infinite came out and they moved on. I didn't like Halo Infinite, so I stopped playing Halo. But yeah, these controllers have flickback issues. It's really because they use stainless steel, such a heavy thumbstick, you get flickback. This can be mitigated by using the resistive features, but you're not always going to be doing that. And guess what? It really does affect gameplay. I would notice like 15-20% less accuracy with this controller. So I would switch back and use the normal controller and I would use that in games. This mainly affects people that play at high sensitivity, so Call of Duty players, they don't really play on controller anymore. I think they ditched PlayStation. I think they're allowed to play on PC again. And people who play with high look acceleration, which is me because I was playing Halo 5 Guardians. I'm not sure how much this affects the normal person using the controller. I guarantee it doesn't affect them at all. I guarantee the first Xbox Elite controller had the same issue, and I just never noticed it. It was completely benign to me, because who the fuck cares? It flicks back. You're a low sensitivity gamer. You're not playing competitively. You're not trying for anything. You're just playing the game for fun. But fast forward, when I was playing the game not for fun, and playing kind of competitively, and literally training to become a professional player, this was a major bottleneck for me. And I had to ditch the controller, and I had to buy a scuff controller, because it still had the back paddles, which you need for Halo 5. That is literally probably the most competitive shooter ever to come out on console. You need the back buttons on that game. And since the scuff controller had plastic thumbsticks, I would not have that issue. I feel like this would not be an issue if Microsoft decided to use maybe aluminum or magnesium. I'm not sure if those are even feasible because those are softer metals and they probably wear down over time, but they're replaceable thumbsticks, so just replace them at the end of the day. And I'm not sure how that works with lubrication. I guess it might be lubrication because you don't want the thumbsticks to get stuck, and I would imagine if you're using a metal, it's a little more porous like aluminum, it might get stuck. I'm not sure. I'm not a material scientist or material engineer, so I don't know these things, but that's my guess why they didn't use aluminum. But it would be nice if they used aluminum for that exact purpose. But for the 99.9% of people who are normal players, who play normal games and aren't sweaty tryhards or professional gamers or going pro, this shouldn't be an issue for you, and really, you shouldn't even have to think about it. I probably had the same issue with the original Xbox Elite controller and didn't notice it. It's completely benign for most people, and I think you should ignore it, but that's what I'll say for pros. Not a pro controller, not for pros. And that means it is basically useless for high-level play. Obviously, most people aren't playing high level, so it doesn't matter. And if you are playing high level, I would suggest the scuff. I think most professionals use scuff, or they just use the normal controller. Some people who play Halo literally play with the claw. That's like a way people play on Xbox. But if you want to do something like that, then go ahead. And I have to say, Call of Duty is not as affected in this because you're kind of flicking into where you're going to shoot, and then you aim. In Halo, it's not like that. You have to basically have 100% precision at all times. Otherwise, you're going to die. It's a methodical game. Call of Duty is more of a reaction game. That's why it's better on PC, and I feel like Halo is better on controller because, you know, that's just the way I think. I don't know why. I really don't like Halo being on PC. I might be a fascist for saying that. I'm sorry, but I don't. I like it on controller. I think it should only be on controller, but whatever. I'm not going to go into that. Alright, to summarize and recap the video, I personally do like this controller, and I've been using this as my main Xbox controller for quite a while. I am a casual gamer again. I do not play competitively. I don't think I can ever play competitively again. I'm not very good anymore. Even on Halo 5, I cannot do half of the things you have to do. I can kind of shoot still, but I can't do all that advanced strafing you have to do by spamming the B button and dashing. I just can't do that anymore while aiming. The game is really hard. Give it a try. It's literally free on PC. But if you're going to install that game, make sure not to install the Halo app that bundles with it. You just get Halo 5 by itself, and you'll be able to play it straight off the bat. So what do you guys think? Do you guys own an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller? Do you guys like it? Do you guys dislike it? Do you guys think I'm stupid? Do you guys think I'm a genius? Leave it in the comments below. I love reading your comments. I pretty much respond to every single comment I can. If this video gets 1 million views somehow, I will not be able doing that. But if it gets, you know, maybe 1,000 views and 100 comments, I will definitely respond to each and every single one of them. And yeah, I'm sorry for being kind of a sweaty mess today. I don't know if it really shows off on camera, but I feel like shit. It is like 84 degrees in this room. It is like 90 something degrees outside with like 100% humidity. One of the air conditioners went out in my house. I still have another one, but this room is not air conditioned anymore. Luckily, this room kind of keeps cool, but not really. It's 84 degrees. Upstairs, it's literally 96 degrees. It is fantastic upstairs. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. See you guys later. Bye.